I'm Clarence Carter, and first off, I want to thank all of the veterans for their service. If it wasn't for the veterans, we wouldn't have what we have today. But the ones that actually seen combat are the ones that's got to be honored the most. I enlisted in the Air Force the day after Christmas in 1951. Went through basic training in Lackland Air Base in San Antonio. From there, I went to electronics school in Biloxi, Mississippi at Keesler. Spent a year there. Graduated out of the class. Part of my graduating class went to Korea. Part got stateside assignment. Two of us had to report to Cameron, New Jersey. Had no idea where I was going, but if I was going to Korea, it was a long way around.
I'm Bryce Wilson. I was drafted into the Army in '68 and got out in 1970. I was in college in Iowa, going to Iowa State, going to my third year, and I got the letter in the mail, go to the top of the draft the day I got graduated, or if I dropped out of school, I could go to the top of the draft. So then my girlfriend got involved that I didn't want to wait 4 years to get married. So I dropped out of school. We got engaged that Christmas, and I got my notice on Valentine's Day.
I'm Dental Technician Chief Bobby Nolan. My first 4 years in the military I was young, stupid, didn't pay any attention to anything, and just all I wanted to do was get out, after my 4 years. So I did. I got out, and then my buddy and I were hanging around Alabama, and we just, we did little jobs here and there, making $1 an hour. But this is not it, man. Let's go back into service. So we went back and we talked to the Air Force, and with me, they said, well, you were recommended for reenlistment, but, and I said, what's the but? He goes, but we have so many people in right now, I'd have to go through a lot of paperwork to get you in. So I'm sorry, man. I don't have time for you. And I go, whoa. So he said, but, there's always a but. He said, if you walk up the street 2 doors, there's a Coast Guard enlistment office up there, and they'll talk to you. And that started my career in the Coast Guard.
They gave me a list of what do you want to be, and I said, oh, veterinary assistant. I'd been studying animal science in college, and so I became a medic. I was very lucky. I worked for a road construction engineering unit. I was the medic for 150 guys in a rock quarry inside of Concertina Wire, out in the middle of nowhere, out where the rocks were. And I had, very unusual thing, I had a building all my own. Everybody's but I had the aid station. My bed was in there, and it had a lock on the door, which is very important. Everybody else is in a barracks.
Did not know where I was going until we landed in Bremerhaven, Germany. Got there, the equipment I had been trained on in Mississippi, they didn't have over there. So I ended up having to change and go to a first regular Air Force assigned to a National Guard unit out of Greenville, South Carolina. Every year, we'd go on 30 to 45-day maneuvers. Worked with the Army. They had a blue and a red Army. They would give us target coordinates. We would run strafing missions or bombing runs on those targets, mostly at night, because they could do it during the day, but we could do it at night.
I was stationed California, Washington State, New York, Maine, Florida, and down in San Diego. I was at school, and same thing, had a nice beach and all that down there, and got a lot of ribbon about that shallow water sailor, And I was on an icebreaker when we went up to the Alaska, through that part. I had a tour of duty in Hawaii, and which was amazing. I was stationed in Miami. I enjoyed that, a little bit. We a lot of beaches and things like that. The water's very warm. There's a lot of New Yorkers there. So if you ever, any of you guys out there ever been stationed in and around New York, you know what I'm talking about. And if you are from New York, you really know what I'm talking about.
As a medic in Vietnam, I was doc, and I was a special person. I was some kind of god or something, and it was all fake. It was, I just was doing the best I could. I got the count that I helped God save 5 people, and 2 of them didn't have a heartbeat or weren't breathing, you know. So, and those weren't necessarily were in Vietnam, but they were in different places, you know.
When the Hungarian revolt started, the first coordinates they gave me for a target was a corner of the Kremlin building. Then they proceeded to give us coordinates for every manufacturing organization there was inside of Russia. Those were tense times, which happened the 23rd of October of '56, ended November the 4th of '56. The reason that impacted me as it did, of course, I got called to radar site and spent a lot of time up there. The wife I had met, her mother owned a cafe, and I went in there to eat, which I like to do quite obviously, and met her, and anyway, I persuaded her finally to marry me. And that took a while. Took longer to convince her mother, though, since she was an only child. We were still waiting for our papers to be approved. Our papers were approved on the 5th of November. We got married on the 10th of November. So today being the 10th of November, 57 years later, we're still together.
They took care of us, and you know, if you did your job, you would get, you know, you had to take a written exam to get promoted, and I spent 6 years as an E6 because there just wasn't any openings, and finally I made it. And I got promoted to Chief Petty Officer, and that's a prestigious title in the Coast Guard and the Navy. It's you go from being an enlisted man, as they say, to a petty officer, Chief Petty Officer.
I never was in fear in Vietnam. Afterwards, I kind of thought about it, and I was in scary situations once in a while, but not much. I was very lucky in that it was a good tour. All in all, I completely enjoyed the service, and I'm very proud of what I did, and more each year. It was the greatest adventure of my life, you know. So it was actually a lot of fun. I was very lucky.
I mean, I had 21 years, as I said, and I loved it, and I still do. I'm still proud of it, as all of us are. All of our veterans are proud of our service and what we did. If the opportunity, I'm so old, it wouldn't happen, but the opportunity would ever come up, and they call me and say, you know, we need your specialty. Can you come back with us for a while? And I'll do it.
I would do it again. If it came up and had to be, I would do it again. It taught me a trade that I would have never pursued. It served me well and taught me a lot of discipline that I probably didn't have as much of as I should have had. Taught me to work with a wide variety of people in different ways, under different conditions. Served me well in the rest of my life.